All right, welcome everybody. We're here to give you some knowledge on some things you'll want to know for your redraft leagues, your dynasty leagues, startups, leagues you already have, or dynasty leagues you already have going. I'm Vince, and I'm here with the fantasy football guru, Austin.
Yeah,
Take it away. You're gonna.
absolutely. So the first thing that we're gonna do is this little segment that I think will actually probably go on for quite a while because there's lots of good talking points for sure. Some things I'm gonna agree with, some things that I'm absolutely not gonna agree with for sure. You and I pretty different when it comes to fantasy football. Probably why this works.
Hey, they call you the
uh,
guru for a reason.
absolutely. This is gonna be a cut, trade, keep. All right, so we're gonna take. In this case, I got three players. Sometimes it won't be three. Sometimes it might just be one a week or what have you. Well, I'll give you a little bit of stats behind them over the last year or two, the state of the team that they're currently on, if they're on a team. Um, Maybe they've had some health issues in the past that they need to get cleared up, or maybe the team has taken a drastically different change than the year prior. And then from there, you're going to tell me whether you should cut that player from your team. You should definitely go out and get that player or trade that player or just keep him on your team if that's who you got, right?
Yeah.
So definitely some good talking points there. And this one, for the one that we're going to get started on, is a very divisive player. I gave you a little heads up because I think this might
Yeah.
be a little bit on the harder side than the other two. And it's mainly because it's the one and only Josh Jacobs. Now, as you know, but the people watching don't know, is I was really high on Josh Jacobs in 2021 season. I thought, hey, he had a little bit of a rough one in 2020. He got hurt. He's going to come back. He's going to and just absolutely kill it, right? He did not. In fact, he only had 8 games above 15 points. Awesome. Out of 18, so that's fantastic. Now, in 2022, it might not look great when I say that he only had 9 games above 15 points, but he was the top 10 of running backs for the majority of the season. He had multiple games where he was above 30 points. There was actually one game that I saw he had scored almost 45 points. But on the other side of things, the team is an absolute disaster, right? They have no quarterback. Devontae Adams is probably going to want out here eventually because he didn't sign up for an absolute disaster of a team. Jimmy G is hurt, right? So the Raiders are in a little bit of a situation, right? The nice thing
Yeah.
is you have Dalton Kincaid coming in to help save some pieces,
Or Michael
hopefully.
Meyer.
Or yeah, Michael Meyer. But there's a lots of pros and cons with this, right? So go ahead, take it away. What do you think you should do with Josh Jacobs? Cut him, trade for him, or trade him, or keep him.
So if I got him on my roster, I'm trading him. I think
Okay.
the value here is way higher than where he's actually at. Because last year he was the top 2 or 3 in regular
Yeah.
scoring, and again, I assume we're talking dynasty league that theoretically we'd have him on superflex PPR.
Yep.
Um, and I can see him having another good season, not top 2 or top 3.
Yeah.
I don't really see that. Not because I think he'll get hurt. I just Raiders are a little bit of a mess
Yep.
and only going to get worse. So no, I'm definitely selling him. If I can get a top 4, top 5 pick and just draft Jameer Gibbs or Bijan Robinson, obviously I would just take that and run. I mean, even a late first, and if the first I have right now is late, I could probably trade up and get one of the top 2 running backs, and then I'm
Sure.
getting a younger guy who I just think in general is going to be better next year. So
So if we're talking
trade.
dynasty, you would definitely want to trade, and preferably for some picks.
Yeah. I like my younger running backs. Unlike you.
Oh, talking about the younger running backs, we're going the opposite of that with good old Ezekiel Elliott. All right, this is cut, trade, keep. Ezekiel Elliott in 2022, he missed only 2 games, and that was around the bye. He missed the game before the bye and 1 game after. But then after that, for 6 weeks, he was actually really solid. He was just under 20 points for majority of those 6 weeks. Problem is, though, he is not on a team. He hasn't had a good season really in the last couple of years, right? And most teams right now are going running back by committee, which could be actually a good thing in terms of Zeke because he's usually a third down running back, right? He usually gets all the touchdowns, which is probably actually why he had those good 6 weeks. So if you had Zeke Elliott on your roster, are you cutting him? Are you trading him? Or are you keeping him?
I mean, the answer is probably cut. If I can trade him literally for anything, a third, a fourth, if your team does 4 rounds, I'm doing that, or even 5 rounds. Because I don't see a whole lot of play time left in his career. I've been saying for 2 years he's a dead horse. Even if it's a future 3rd or 4th round pick, I'm not crazy about Zeke. Even
Yeah.
I just the end is
Fair
near.
enough.
He slowed down. Something else I was gonna say about that, but I forgot. So yeah, I mean, if you can trade him for anything, I would not recommend even giving up a third for him. Now, if he joins a team late in the season and maybe gets a good job, you know, my answer might change mid-season. But right now, some people use the term roster clogger. I just use the term bench trash. He's just bench trash. Just get rid of him.
Now, this is a guy we're talking about this week, or at least not yet. Dalvin Cook, right? He was recently released by the Vikings. One of his rumored teams that he's interested in is Miami, right? They need another running back. Even though they did pick one up in the draft, but they want a little bit of a veteran in there, right? Plus, he wants to go home. Essentially, is kind of the thing. What if Miami decided to take Zeke? Because most likely Zeke's going to be cheaper, right?
Yep.
Do you think Zeke would fit that mold, right? With Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Tua, right? And then you just have another big body basically in there.
Yeah, and I don't even know, as far as fitting the mold, I don't even know how much play time he would get if he was there.
Right.
Because, the coach there, he had Raheem Mostert and then Jeff Wilson Jr. in San Francisco. So, I think they maybe get a few touches a week. And even if Cook went there, I wouldn't be crazy about it. But
Right, for sure.
no spot right now. I would be crazy about Cook.
All right, and for the final player here on Cut Trade Keep, this one's going to be a little bit out of left field. I don't think you're expecting it at all, but there's a reason I'm bringing this up. Justin Jefferson, right? Now, best wide receiver of 2022, hands down, right? There's almost no place for it besides maybe Jamar Chase, right? He could be an argument for being the best for 2022, but overall, Justin Jefferson, most explosive, had some of the greatest catches we've ever seen last year. Overall, I would say best wide receiver 2022, right?
Yeah.
With that, you got Kirk Cousins, who is super solid, right? He's got one more year, at least as of right now, as a Viking. But one thing that was going for Justin Jefferson is Thielen was hurt after about week 2 or 3 for majority of the rest of the year, right? It was I think it was his knee or shoulder. But the problem with JJ is towards the end of the year, especially that game with the Packers, he was falling apart, right? They kind of figured him out. And he almost this close. Got suspended in that game by hitting a ref with his helmet, right? So he's got a little bit of anger there when he's not getting the touches that he wants, right?
Yeah.
When he's being triple teamed and double teamed, like every team is going to going forward. But on the other side of things, though, too, Jordan Addison now joins the team. First rounder, who's going to want his touches as well. You also have Hawk, who's going to want his touches as well because they are going to want to show off because they're going to want better contracts, especially Hawk, who I think is up for another contract here in 2 years. So he's going to need to put some numbers up as well. So if you had Justin Jefferson on your roster, obviously I doubt you're cutting him, but are you cutting him? Are you trading him? Are you keeping him?
Keeping him. And so even when we go back to my top 5 receiver video, and I had him 2 for Dynasty leagues, yep. That's still like really good. And here's what I'm worried about. Let's say you play even in a really deep league, a lot of starters, and you're trading JJ and getting three people that you would start every week back. Still not enough. I'm just worried about like if you do too many of those deals, you're just gonna have a lot of mid-tier guys, and then you're gonna want to how can I trade all these mid-tier guys for the J. So that's the problem. I'd be trying to go right back to him. So long story short, just keep him. Mildly hot take too. Like you brought up a little bit of like the stuff around JJ, and it does feel like the organization pampers him a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and it's like you can just see it coming a mile away. Like someday, if we don't, pay him the absolute highest amount plus 10 million, then there's going to be drama on social media and all that. Like kind of like the Lamar situation, but worse.
Right, and I mean he was already kind of holding out from OTAs. It was reported that he didn't show up. He wants a new contract, and so on. So that's something to be kind of worried about too. That it might already be starting. Right, he's still in his rookie contract, and granted, he had a fantastic year in 2022. He had a really good season 2 also in 21. Obviously, we hadn't seen enough yet, but in 2022 he showed out what he can do. Right. But he's already like, hey, I did what I needed to do. Now you gotta pay me, type of thing. So it's something we gotta watch out for sure. But we'll see how that goes.
He doesn't seem as humble as what he did when he came into the league. And it's like for Viking fans too, we like just saw all this with Stephon Diggs every year. We just kind of saw more in this, and it's reminding me of that. Hopefully, it doesn't get that bad, but we'll see.
We'll see. All right, that is what I got for you for cut, trade, and keep. We'll kind of switch gears a little bit. We got some questions as far as a mix of things, right? For redrafts and even for Dynasty Superflex. The first question that we got, if you had the first overall pick, who are you taking for a redraft quarterback? Yep.
Give me Christian McCaffrey.
Really?
And the reasoning behind this, so I got C-Mac, and then I have him like right now on his own tier, so that's kind of why I have him number 1. Where the receivers, I believe there's like a top 3 or 4, and then others very close. I think C-Mac's gonna have a crazy year if he's healthy.
Okay. So I have Austin Eckler. You have the consistency, and overall he's going to get the ball both running wise and touchdowns, as well as receiving. Every single year, he's always going to being consistent. He's going to keep being consistent at the end of the day. And then, so What about for Dynasty Superflex? Who you taking first?
If you're starting a whole new league, Mahomes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, with the year he had last year, yeah, and it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down. Eventually, they'll get receivers there. The defense is still bad, so he'll be throwing constantly.
Yep.
Just Mahomes.
So for me, I actually have JJ. He's on his third year, right? Going into his fourth.
Third or fourth, or I think he's done 3 years, right?
Yes. So he's done 3 years. He still has a lot under his belt. He's gonna keep going up with those high numbers, even if the worst comes to worst and everything goes bad for him here with the Vikings. He's gonna go somewhere that's gonna use them and use them properly, right? So there's no need to worry about that at all. So yeah, definitely JJ. And then we got for the first 5 picks. Who do we think is going to go in those first 5? We'll go with a redraft. One QB first.
All right. So first off,
go ahead and say the first 5.
Yep. Like I said, I got Christian McCaffrey. Second pick, Justin Jefferson. Third pick, Jamar Chase. Fourth pick, Cooper Kupp. Fifth pick, Tyreek Hill. But then I even did a 6. I got CeeDee Lamb very close. My thing is it would almost come down to what schedule I like at the end. Between those two, it's that close. Playoffs time, week 15, 16, 17. Who's playing indoors? Who's got bad defenses? They're playing those kind of things. That I like to look at. But otherwise, the list I'll just make a comment about because I'm sure you probably have running backs on your list, and I was looking at, I've seen ones that are like all running backs. It's just like they're just so wishy-washy to me. They're getting older. Eckler, Bijan, who knows? I think he should be up there, but it's like, do I really want to pick him over JJ, Jamar, Kupp, Hill, CeeDee? No.
Right.
I'd like to know what I'm getting in the first round. And like I said, Eckler and Chubb are just older. I'm trying to think who else would even be up there. Devontae Adams, no, get him out of there with his quarterback situation. Josh Jacobs, no, he's not going to repeat the season he just had.
Right. Top 5 picks, what they should be. I'm going actually Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey. I do agree that he's going to have a crazy season, especially being in San Francisco.
Yep.
JJ, Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce. He's just too good. And then but look at the points that he puts up, though. I mean, it's just crazy. And if we are putting a 6 out there, I was actually going to go Tyreek Hill.
So we're pretty similar, but no, that's too early for Kelce. Too old.
Okay.
It's
a redraft. You don't need to worry about the too old part of it. You just need him to last a year.
No.
You said that last year too. You said that last year too. You're like, do I really want to pick up Kelce and what? And he won
you shouldn't have fell to the fifth round in a dynasty.
Yeah, you can't hate that. All right, so for a dynasty superflex, who do you think is going to go on the top 5 picks for that?
All right, so I'll just say this because it's all quarterbacks, and so I've won 2 quarterback leagues before because I had the best quarterbacks. Just end of discussion. And obviously, if I were to keep doing super flex, 2 QB leagues, I'm always taking the best quarterbacks and then figure out the rest after that. I think that's just the way to go. So, again, I got Mahomes 1, Josh Allen 2, Justin Herbert 3, Lamar Jackson 4, Joe Burrow 5. I think some lists have Burrow ahead of Lamar, and again with me, it's just you get the points on the ground with Lamar. Burrow plays more games outdoors, so that's why I got him lower than the other guys.
For sure.
It would be. See, I just value wise, it'd have to be the end of the first round before I'd pick some other than a quarterback. But again, I don't want to leave the first round without one of the top quarterbacks, or else, yeah.
Or else they could all be gone.
Yeah.
For sure. So I was going down a similar path, but obviously my first is JJ, right? Then it's Mahomes. Then I got Burrow, Allen, and then I got Lamar. So similar.
Yeah. Got the quarterbacks up there. What do you have against Herbert? He's young.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Everybody on TikTok is all over. Oh, he's gonna be the best, and yada. He hasn't shown me jack yet. And in the games that I have played, it just seems like a Kirk Cousins almost. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
I didn't see anything special yet. Yeah. All right, so a little bit more of a controversial topic, and I'm sure you and I are gonna argue about this quite a bit. But for a Dynasty Superflex, right? Every year you get to pick up rookies, right, through a draft. Or during the season, you can trade your picks and get better players that are proven. So, in general, for keeping versus trading picks in Dynasty, where do you stand, or how do you decide what you're doing?
Yeah, and I would say I'm middle of the road. Want to do what's best for the team. Like, I'm not gonna absolutely refuse to ever trade a first. While at the same time, I don't really want to trade one away unless there's some really good deal or it's close to the trade deadline. And that's something we could have a discussion on. I know some people don't like trade deadline, but I don't want someone to trade, right before the playoffs and, screw that all up. Anyways, The thing you got to consider too, towards the end of the season, if I'm a contender, what's going to do me more, trading for some top wide receiver, good running back if I need one, or the 109, the 110, in the off season, and pick up, okay, maybe I can draft the best tight end in the next draft, or the 5th best wide receiver, yeah.
Right. No, for sure. Me,
I'll add in one thing too. So, if we're talking this offseason too, I'd argue right around 108, 109, there's like a tier break. And what I mean by that is, if you can get someone dumb to trade like the 110 for a 24 first, do it in a heartbeat and don't think twice. And anything after that, anything 109 or later, do it now.
For sure. Yeah. For me, it depends on the draft class coming up, right? For example, like going into this year, well, in general for our dynasty, I have almost 0 picks for the next 3 years. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, this last season, I thought I could make a really good run and potentially win the Super Bowl. Problem was, in our double quarterback Dynasty, I didn't have a second quarterback, right? I was dealing with too many injuries. Joe Mixon was down, Cooper Kupp was down, everything, right? I needed to make a splash, so I traded 2 first rounders, right? And I got Derek Carr. Um, it got me to the Super Bowl. I didn't win, but I got there, right? Which I'd rather have had the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl than
Yep.
to just sit there and not play during the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In general for picks, it's hey, I could go and draft these people that are also unproven in the NFL, and we don't know if they're busts or not until they actually play, or I can get actual proven players, right? I went and got JJ this offseason and by trading picks. And so on, right? So it can be done. You got to be a little sly about certain trades and stuff like that for sure. And you got to just throw whatever at the wall. But for me personally, I'd much rather have proven players rather than, hey, he could be the greatest of all time, or he could be absolute trash. Kind of like Baker Mayfield, right? Everybody say he was going to be fantastic. He is awful.
Yeah. And I
So,
guess too, to add context, like when you were trading, this is important too. When you're trading first, you knew at the time they were likely going to be late,
yep.
because they were obviously yours and the guy that was currently the number 2 seed. Um, so I think that's important to mention.
Yep.
Like if you or the other first you had was a bad team, yeah, then it'd be like, oh, what are you doing? But
Right.
now, time of year again, it's important. You're talking about making a run, doing it before the trade deadline. If you're doing
Mm-hmm.
it in the off season, obviously that trade was just like really dumb.
Oh, yeah.
And you knew what the picks were. And right, you'd probably try and get an even better quarterback than Derek Carr. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if it was off season too. So
Right.
yeah,
And that's the thing, too, right? I don't think I could have got it almost any other quarterback worth his skills than Derek Carr at the time for those two. Because at that point in time, we were all just kind of grabbing as many quarterbacks as possible,
yep.
trying to fill every single spot as much as possible because injuries were absolutely insane. Um,
And then you got
so
people
it,
like me that are hoarding, yeah,
it's
more quarterbacks than I
exactly.
need, and yeah,
And then at one point, I had like 8 quarterbacks. It was ridiculous. So it's the game that we play, and you got to do it smart. But if you do it smart enough, you'll get a good shot at going to the Super Bowl, or at least making a good run of it. And that's all about watching the numbers. What are they more prone to do versus what they've done in the past? How is this year kind of shaken out? How does history going to repeat itself? You know, history
so
keeps repeating itself for me because I don't win Super Bowls, but
yeah, there's a trade I was starting to get real in the same league. I was starting to get real serious about for my first.
yeah,
I need a wide receiver bad.
yes.
And the guy that has Jerry Judy, I was trying to get for a first Jerry Judy and maybe a little something else. He's got
Yep.
access number of receivers. Um, so I was getting pretty close. Now, luckily, I didn't do it because Judy was actually out a few weeks afterwards. So I would have been pissed
Hmm.
about that. But and
Yep.
then the amount I lost in the playoffs, and then the amount Judy would have scored if I had him in my lineup, it wouldn't have been worth it. But yeah, I
Right.
had some in the works, but no.
Right. And yeah, it's all about picking the right time, and you go after that trade. You just kind of gotta live with it. Do I wish I had those picks now? Got kind of going into August soon, and a month and a half, and we're thinking about this rookie draft. Yeah, sure, a little bit. But do I really need a whole lot at the same time? Yes and no.
So, and that's the thing too. There's 107, 109. You're looking at wide receivers. How bad do you need? The
None.
Zay Flowers of the world, Quinn
Right.
Johnson.
Right.
Nice to have, but yeah,
Yeah.
still need a quarterback. If I could pull your team up right now, maybe in a future video, yeah, quarterback would still be the bigger need.
Yep. I still need quarterback pretty bad, but that can wait, 6 months or whatever. Because I know, at least as of right now, I have a ridiculous amount of wide receivers, um, and good wide receivers at that too. So if I really need to, and push comes to shove, I could probably deal one of those out. But the nice thing though too is having it be a super flex dynasty is I only need one, one quarterback, right? As long as I have the hitters that can do really well in that super flex spot, that like a quarterback you would hope would,
Yeah.
and you don't have to worry about it too much. Problem is with the quarterback, you're almost guaranteed, to be in the 20s or higher, So there is that.
And then it was, I guess, like a side note too with the Derek Carr trade. It was kind of funny how he fell apart after that trade. Had some like 2 point, some single digit weeks.
He
Then there
still,
were some weeks you benched him and he did all right, 20 points, and then he got actually
yeah,
benched.
yeah. I ended up, I think, playing a mix of Heineke and whoever else was his backups too, more than actually Derek Carr.
there was there was the one time he came over, I think, for a Vikings game towards the end of the year. Derek Carr, what the fuck? I want my two first back.
Because I wasn't using them. But now, I mean, with them going to the Saints, I think I'll be using
Yeah.
them quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, my camera froze, but keep going.
Whatever. So if given the choice, right, and we'll kind of keep this to strictly, well, no, we can kind of do it for both. For a redraft, one quarterback, you had the choice of the pick, let's just say 1 through 10. Which pick would you prefer to have?
The first pick, and just kind of like for the reasons I talked about before, I really like Christian McCaffrey more than any other running back. My next favorite pick, and no, it's not just number 2. It would be like 6, and just for the reason I kind of talked about in like my mock or my picks, that's just kind of a tier break for receivers, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So that's why, and then obviously you get an earlier second round pick. You can take someone good like Travis Etienne.
Right.
Then the third round, Kyle Pitts. But so first and 6, and you kind of got to know your league too. Like if they're kind of bots and they're suggested ADPs, and CD is like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, then that would be my second favorite spot, way at the end. I don't think they should
Yeah.
go. They should go down that far, but yeah, that's where I'd go.
All right. Yeah, in a redraft one QB pick, I would prefer to have is actually towards the end, like 8. Because then usually with that or around that 8 spot, you kind of getting a double first rounder, right? You're getting a little bit of the lower end of a first round, but you're basically getting 2 first rounders right off the bat, and they usually because I got screwed on it last year. But they're usually really, really good, really, really solid, and will do wonders for you, right? So if I could, that's where I would be. Now for a dynasty superflex, If you could choose your spot, where are you going? I think this one's a little easier, but
So I guess like the first one that comes to mind again would just be like
yeah.
first, second, third, because I want Mahomes, Allen, or Herbert bad. All young quarterbacks can score you a lot of points. I
Hmm.
think quarterback is very important. Like that's my
Yeah.
first priority in these kind of leagues. Like I said before. No, again with quarterback being such a priority and getting into the elite one, I want to be early as possible. That's actually
Hmm.
my answer here, because I want to at least get one. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess you can make the argument mid mid first if you could get like a Lamar and then a Dak in the second round. That'd be real good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm at. What about
Yeah.
you?
Okay, so for a dynasty super flex, if I could choose my pick, I would agree. It would have to be, I would hope, in the top three, 3 or 4, um, for that quarterback spot for sure, right? As much
Yep.
as I would love to get, somebody like JJ or Jamar Chase, um, I think getting that quarterback early is really, really key. And I think that's something I definitely messed up in our dynasty, was not hitting for that quarterback first. I got a little greedy with things like Kyle Pitts uh, or like Cooper Cup and stuff like that, or even Joe Mixon, who's still young but now is dealing with issues, right? Um, but trying to get that quarterback early, I might not have been dealing with the kind of stuff I was dealing with all throughout the year because of it. So yeah, definitely quarterbacks early and as early a picks as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was begging you to not take Zeke in that draft too. Now, luckily you got rid of him in a trade, good trade,
Yep.
but yeah,
Yeah, it was what, like towards the end, it was like 8 or 9 or something like that though. So it wasn't really the end of the world.
I thought it
And,
was a little earlier, like 6.
and I mean, I got Aaron Jones out of it, so
Well, no, you won the trade. I'm just saying I didn't love the draft pick. I was begging you not to take him. That probably made you take him.
probably. But those are the fantasy guru questions I got. You got anything
Yeah,
on your mind?
yeah. All right, you're starting a brand new 12-team Superflex PPR league.
Hmm.
Random order. You get the 101. Someone offers you their second, third, and fourth for the 101. Because let's say they have the 104. They're trying to get 2 elite quarterbacks. So then your first 2 picks would be late seconds, but then you'd have early thirds, late fourths.
Mm. So
I think we know what way I would go pretty obviously, but yeah, what
mhm.
way would you swing?
That is actually a really hard one because the spot that they are is important, right? That 104.
Yeah,
So they're right off the bat. Let's just say they're going straight for like a Mahomes, maybe like a Josh
Mahomes.
Allen,
Yeah,
Lamar
yeah,
combo, right?
yeah.
So right off the bat, they're going to be pretty unstoppable.
But then their receivers would be pretty hit or miss, and the rest of the roster would be pretty hit or miss. But
Yeah, exactly. So, uh, but for me though, it kind of I wish that they would have been later, right? If they were like 8, I feel like it'd be a lot easier of a hit, right? Because then you're getting a early second and then
yeah,
a late. So you're taking something really early and something really late in both the second, third, and fourth. Um, I think that's an easier pill to swallow than late picks on the second. So you're getting end late second round kind of quality. And it's usually right around where like somebody like Stephon Diggs or something like that is. And
Yeah.
who knows at that point what you're getting as far as quarterbacks. But somebody like Dak,
You're right. It'd be the lower tier quarterbacks or older ones like
older one,
Russ.
right? And
Maybe Deshaun Watson if there's no one crazy
oh,
about him.
that's just gross. So I mean, you're getting gross stuff as far as quarterbacks go. If everybody goes quarterbacks, and odds are, if everybody sees that first guy go like Mahomes and Lamar right off the bat, I mean, then everybody's gonna freak out and grab quarterbacks. So thinking about it that way, I don't think I would do it. It's a hard one to say no to, but I think you have to for the good of your team.
Yeah, and right, I would almost be the guy that's sitting there at 104 trade.
Oh,
Well, I mean, I wouldn't like to do 3 picks, because
but
right
you would have to.
then the rest of my roster is again like my receivers would be like they are now: Hollywood Brown, Cortland Sutton, like not yeah. Not a, I wouldn't
Right.
have any elite or Chris Olaves. My
Yeah.
running backs, I don't even want to know. But yeah. But then, 2 elite quarterbacks,
Right. And
young,
then I
don't have
mean,
to worry about it for a long time.
and then if you really want to get deep into the trading, right? And let's just say you don't really care about your picks too much as far as like the following year, you could trade a couple of next year's picks for a second or whatever, so that way you get some of that earlier talent.
Yeah.
Because people in the draft are going to be thinking about that draft, right? They're not thinking about the following year. Because you don't even have your team yet. So you could get away with some really sneaky picks. You could probably even win your draft, but then have 0 picks for the next 3 years, but have a crazy team for the next 3 or 4 years. But it just depends on how crazy you really want to go with it.
Yeah.
You know, you can make a real good deep run of it. Especially because how I would look at it is I would simply say, hey, look, I have 2 elite quarterbacks.
Yeah.
As of right now, I'm going to have shit for the rest of the teams. If I'm going to trade you my first next year, I'm going to be early, probably. An early pick in that first. Give me your second and a fourth to somebody late, That way you get the front end of that second round and the fourth. That way you get at least some really good talent. Maybe if you could sneak a third pick in there, I doubt it.
Yeah.
You could easily win that draft pretty quick. So,
Yeah.
God,
Playing
I
the
love
cards right.
drafting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best part of fantasy football. Oh, I want to draft so bad. Speaking of which, anybody watching, let's get a fucking dynasty going of some kind. Preferably is Dynasty Superflex. We only want the good players. So if you're interested, please say that you're in and whatnot. We got plenty of comments on TikTok saying that they're better fantasy football minds than us. So please
Yeah.
show
Oh
me.
yeah, yeah. Don't. Yeah. Oh yeah. Telling them not to take our advice. Well, if we don't know what
Right.
we're talking about, we should be cake, right? Dead last, right?
Bijan Robinson's not even worth an upper first, but he's going like 6th or whatever overall in mock drafts and stuff like that in a redraft league. So show us, please show us.
Yeah.
Obviously, I need to learn if I'm going to do this podcast. So
Yeah. Teach us a thing or two.
absolutely.
just like the people last year that we played with, and the year before that, and every other
Before
year.
that.
But yeah, I updated the link on my link tree too, because it looked like a lot of people had tried joining my Discord, where again you can join and then we can send you the link for the league.
Mhm.
I think that link was expired because no one's
Oh,
been joining, but it got a lot of clicks. But I updated; it's permanent now. Um, so yeah, check that out. Otherwise, all of the Guru's links are below too.
and then if you do join the Discord, almost specifically for Dynasty purposes, say so.
Yep.
That way we can kind of punch in the right direction and kind of get the ball rolling on that. We don't want to make a league if nobody's going to be ready to actually show what they are actually talking about. And I'm already itching to draft, so
Yeah.
let's get a league or two going.
Yeah. Maybe
Uh,
24-hour or 8-hour timer, and we just start it now and go to the end of summer, and
oh yeah.
whatever happens, happens.
Absolutely. Otherwise, any other final thoughts or anything that you got on your end?
No, it's just like we were talking a little bit off stream. I don't come on here to say the status quo. So I'll have my own thoughts at times, and leave your thoughts on our comments, but I don't know, just something to keep in mind. I'm not
All
gonna be a
right, but
sellout.
please keep leaving your thoughts on the comments because I personally like looking at the reaction to the comments later on in the day and so on. But also keep in mind we are sponsored and we do have a
Yep.
sponsor of Vince's Man Cave, so please check that out.
Yep.
Obviously, the link will be in the bio.
Buy all your retro video games from our sponsor.
Absolutely.